So this message is for the mom who is feeling just very exhausted. Hello, shout out, that's definitely me. Who may be setting unrealistic standards for yourself or even for your child. This message is for the mom who feels the need to feel like you always have to be liked by others, in particular your children. This video is also for the mom who may be ashamed of her past, maybe things that happened to you in your past, or perhaps things that you've done in your past. This message is for the mom who feels just like you're not doing it right, like you're trying so hard all the time, but maybe you just have this little voice inside of you that says you're just not doing it right, or you're not a good mom. This is for the mom who is constantly feeling like the bad guy. Maybe you just feel like you're getting on your kids all the time, and maybe they perceive you as being the bad guy all the time, and you're just feeling tired and exhausted of that. This is for the mom who feels alone. The mom who just feels like she's doing this motherhood journey by herself. Maybe you feel like you don't have friends, you don't have support. This message is definitely for you. So in the Bible, the Apostle Paul challenges us to have an accurate self-assessment of ourselves. This means being realistic about ourselves, not thinking too highly of ourselves necessarily, but also, not being too hard on ourselves. I truly believe that parenting has everything to do with our past. It has so much to do with where we've come from, the experiences that we had growing up, and it really shapes who we are as a parent. So many times we are parenting from a place of overcompensating, maybe for things that we lacked, or for terrible things that happened to us when we were a child, maybe things that we lacked from our own parents, from our mom, from our dad. Maybe we work extra hard with our children to overcompensate for the things that we lacked growing up. Now, the other side of that is the parent who just simply doesn't know any better. So new skills are very important. Learning new skills, like I said earlier, learning them in a healthy environment, very, very important. But also you have to learn new dialogue scripts. And when I say dialogue scripts, I'm basically talking about that little voice in your head, and I'm not talking about like a crazy voice. I'm talking about that inner voice that everybody has. Does your inner voice speak life and love into you, or does your inner voice speak negativity into you? And we are able to learn God's view of us. When we can see ourselves the way that God sees us, everything changes. And not only does this inner dialogue affect the way that we feel about ourselves, it also affects the way that we relate to other people, and the way that we connect with other people or don't connect with other people. So I'm asking you, really question yourself after listening to this video or watching this video. Ask yourself, what does my inner dialogue sound like? Am I overly confident? That's usually not the case, but am I overly confident? Which means that you probably need to be a little bit more humble and ask God to provide you a little bit more humility. Or are you underconfident with yourself? Are you holding yourself back? Are you allowing this negative inner dialogue to hold you back? So to the exhausted mom, the one who's always tired and feeling maybe really down because you feel like you're super tired all the time, it makes you maybe feel lazy and really hard on yourself. Let me validate you and tell you that this is a season. I know it feels like it's going on forever, or might go on forever. I promise you it's not going to be going on forever, especially if you're a mom of little ones, little babies. That's just an exhausting time. It's an exhausting season, and I remember raising babies and feeling like it was going to last forever. My exhaustion, my fatigue, and that can actually be depressing too, to feel tired, wake up and feel tired every day. Maybe feeling like you'll never get a good night's rest, you'll never get a good night's sleep. Some days, I'm going to tell you something my mom told me while I was raising babies. Some days it feels like survival, and guess what? That's okay. If you're going through days that you're just feeling like, you know what, it's all I can do to get my children fed. It's all I can do to maybe get myself fed. That's okay sometimes. That's okay to feel like, you know, I just need to survive through this day. Now, survival is not a healthy state to live in. It's not something that you want to be living in survival mode all the time, but give yourself some grace and remind yourself that this is a season. You don't have to be kicking butt every day. You don't have to be changing the world every day. You don't have to be making a ton of progress on your goals or on your home or on just whatever it is that you have on your heart to do. Some days it is survival, and that's okay. You need to give yourself some love and grace about that. Your truth that I want to speak into you today is that your identity is not that of a lazy person. Your identity is not a time waster. Isaiah 40:29 says, He gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks strength, He increases power. Now, to the mom who is setting unrealistic expectations for yourself or your child, do you find yourself comparing yourself to others, comparing your parenting style to others? Do you find yourself comparing your child to others constantly? I need to communicate to you that you are sacrificing your identity to get attention and acceptance. I want you to read Ephesians 1:4-8. I'm not going to read it right now. It would take a little bit too much time, but this scripture reminds us of His unconditional love. He doesn't love and accept us because of what we do. Thank God, right? Because we would all be in trouble if that was the case. He loves you unconditionally. So please remember that as you are getting caught up and constantly comparing. And I know that that's hard. I know, especially again, when you're raising children, it's so easy to just get caught up in the comparing game, and you get caught up in talking with other parents and comparing, and it feels like a competition sometimes. Remind yourself, seek Him again, read this scripture, and remind yourself how much He unconditionally loves you, and how much you don't have to set your child up for this anymore. You don't need to set yourself up for this anymore. Stop doing that. You're not doing yourself or your child any favors by setting these unrealistic expectations for yourself or your child. So the truth I want to speak into you today is just to remind you that your identity is found in Jesus Christ, not in what others think of you and your child. To the mom who is constantly worried about being liked, that sounds crazy, even saying it out loud. And I know it might sound strange hearing it, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard moms say, and they're just being honest, and I'm so thankful for their honesty. And if this is you, be honest with yourself and saying, I want my child to like me. I'm working really, really hard to get my child to like me. I'm telling you today that you are giving your children permission to determine your self-worth. The truth is, you are called to teach your child to respect you, not necessarily to like you. In fact, there's going to be many times that your child won't like you. That doesn't mean that they don't love you. That doesn't mean that they don't respect you. Your child is almost like borrowed from God, and He wants us to teach our children, His children, to be respectful of that, of you. If your child is disrespecting you, if you're allowing your child to talk down to you, I hear it so often, and it just crushes me. It crushes my spirit, because I know that that parent is struggling. I see that parent struggling. I know that that's not what the parent wants, but at the same time, that parent has lost control and given that control over to the child for fear that that child will not like them. That's not okay. That's not what you are called to do. And I am trying to speak life into you and encourage you to take that control back. And I'm not saying to overcompensate and be over controlling with your child, but your child internally and subconsciously wants you to control your home. Your child knows subconsciously that they are not mature enough to be in control of the home, but they will naturally gravitate to doing that if you allow them to do so. If you are allowing them to do so, you've got to find some strength inside of you. You need to ask God for that strength, and you need to take that control back. They are called to respect you. If they do not respect you, they will not respect authority in the future, and you are not doing your child any favors by doing this, or society any favors by doing this. So again, I'm going to read the scripture. It's Ephesians 6:1. It says, "Children, obey your parents. Also, it's the first commandment, honor your mother and father." To the mom who feels ashamed of your past, maybe terrible things happened to you when you were a child growing up. I'm so sorry if that was the case for you. Maybe it was something that happened to you. Maybe it was bad things that you did. Maybe in response to the bad things that happened to you, you did terrible things that you are ashamed of, and you continuously beat yourself up about it. But I'm here to tell you that if you don't deal with your past, those bad things will control your future. So first, you need to identify if this is destructive shame that you are experiencing, or is it healthy conviction? Now, healthy conviction, I'm talking about biblical conviction. Is this something that is a God-given emotion that is warning you about a bad behavior? That could be an act of rebellion against God. If that's the case, allow that to help you to heal. Just identifying it is the first step in healing. But maybe it is destructive shame. Maybe it's something that you are just beating yourself over and over again about, and that's just hurting you, and it is affecting your children. It is affecting your relationships with other people. Again, if it's biblical conviction, I think you need to be reminded today that God allows us to confess our sin and experience love and forgiveness. I want you to read 1 John 1:9. Again, I'm not going to read that on here, but the truth that I want to speak into you today is that any guilt that comes after you have expressed that you are that you've repented for, that you've asked God for forgiveness for, any guilt that comes after that is not from God. Our struggles can bring us closer to God and heighten our faith. So God allows us His beauty to be seen in our struggles. And so I just want to speak that into you today and just remind you that beauty can come from ashes. And I'm a living testament of that as well. Maybe I'll do another video another time and share a little bit more about myself in that way as well. Now, to the mom who feels like you just can't get it right, the mom who maybe always feels like the bad guy, I just want to tell you today that I am sorry if you have ever felt judged by other moms, by anybody else really, by even a family member. I want to tell you that I'm sorry if you've ever experienced that. Reminder, none of us have it together, and the people that are judging the loudest are the ones who least have it together. The people who don't judge are probably the ones that have it the most together, and they're not judging you because they know that they don't have it together either. None of us do. None of us do. Even on our best days, have it 100% together. So I just want to tell you today, Mom, I see you, I hear you, and I am you. If your inner thoughts are, maybe I'm a really bad mom, it's okay to seek growth. Again, I'm challenging you in this video to not necessarily, this isn't a video of like, you're all good, you're all perfect, you're good, just stop beating yourself. Sometimes some of that inside of us is something that says, I want better. And that's okay. I think that wanting better is okay. If it's a healthy conviction that's telling you that you want to be challenged, you want to challenge yourself to grow. I think it's healthy for all of us as parents to grow every single day. It's okay to seek growth, and it's never too late. If you have teenagers even, like, it's okay. It's not too late. You haven't messed up. You're here seeking to be a better parent, and good for you for doing that. So start today. I would encourage you, maybe start today with just an example, starting a Pinterest board. I'll put my Pinterest on the link down here, but I have Pinterest boards that are just encouraging boards for myself to go to. They're maybe one you can start that says positive discipline that works, and look at what other people are doing that works for them. Not everything works for everybody. Not everything is a cookie cutter strategy that will work for every child. Every child is different, but try it. If it works for other families, it may work for you. And don't just say, oh, I've tried everything. That's impossible. That's a lie. You haven't tried everything. That's impossible to try everything. So try something new, commit to it for a while. Don't just try it once and it doesn't work and just throw in the towel. Try it a few times. Make sure you're exhausting everything before you just throw in the towel and say, oh, I've tried everything. Nothing works for my kid. My kid is terrible. No, that's not true. Your child is not terrible. I don't care what your child does. There is a strategy that will work for him or her, and you just haven't found it yet. So seek opportunities to grow. Gain perspective from somebody that you trust. Be open to loving and honest feedback. This is so hard. I know, as even a parent educator, I've had the toughest conversations with even my best friends that don't end up positive. I try to not provide any kind of feedback unless somebody is seeking it. But maybe you can be the person that seeks it. I've sought it from some of my closest friends who aren't parent educators, and just said, what do you think about this? How do you think I should handle that? That's healthy. That's good. If you have a girlfriend that you trust, that's a good mom, or maybe that seems to have it in a certain category of parenting that maybe you struggle in. Exchange ideas. Be open to honest and loving feedback. Don't get defensive. I know it's hard to hear negative things about your children, but be open. Maintain honest communication and do it in a loving way back and forth with that particular person. And just a reminder, maybe you are matching your child's energy. Maybe your anxiety is feeding your child's anxiety, or your child's anxiety is feeding your anxiety. That's not a good combination. So think about ways that you can model a more level-headed way of handling stress and conflict, so that could be something that your child can feed off of, as opposed to the other way around. So the truth is that God's grace is a gift. Again, I know that I keep saying that same thing, but I just want to really communicate these truths to you today. Grace gives you freedom to live a new life. It's not easy, but when you can give yourself some grace, you can give others grace. And let me just remind you, your yelling does not define you. Your nagging does not define you. You not knowing all the answers to all the things does not define you. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite poets, Maya Angelou: when you know better, you do better. So to the mom who feels alone, I want to express to you, and I'm hoping that I can do this without tearing up myself, but I want to express to you that I am sorry for the times that you needed some mommy time and you had no connections. I'm sorry for the times that you ever tried to go out of your way to set up some time with your girlfriends, or a girlfriend even, and it fell flat. She maybe flaked on you. I'm sorry for the times that you have ever felt invisible when you go pick up your child on back porch pickup and you feel like you're not seen or heard, and that you're just invisible. You don't exist. I know those feelings, and I can't tell you why people maybe don't follow through on their word when they say that they're going to do something and they don't. I want to encourage you, if you are the kind of person that doesn't put yourself out there, or if and when somebody does extend an invite to you, maybe you're that person that can't be depended on. Maybe you have your guard up and you don't allow anybody in. I want to encourage you to put yourself out there. Allow yourself to make connections with other women and other moms, and be the kind of person that you want in your life. Be good for your word. Even if other people are not good for their word, definitely you have to pay attention and not set yourself up for failure and just continue to ask the same person. If they're never following through, move on to somebody else. But there's somebody else out there in your circle who is seeking the same thing, is seeking a connection. And I want to encourage you, don't do this alone. If you're a single mommy, even if you're not a single mommy, I know even as a married mommy, I have felt alone before too. But if you're a single mom, really, truly find a connection. Do anything that you can to find a connection with other moms, so that you can do this life thing together. It's so important to have these connections and be able to depend on one another when you need each other. Again, I can't tell you why these things happen, but please remember too that even the most well-liked moms have felt like this. But I want to remind you that you are amazing. And I promise you again that you are not alone. And the truth is that you have an army behind you, even if you don't see them. So here are some final calls to action. I want to encourage you to read my full blog on my website. I'm going to link it in the comments. But some final calls to action. Speak life into yourself like you would your best friend. Start practicing positive self-talk. Even if you don't believe it, keep saying it until you do believe it. Express what you need until somebody listens. You heard me say it earlier. Keep talking. Keep advocating for yourself. Don't be quiet and passive about that. And I'm not saying you have to tell everybody everything, but go to the right support. Find the right support and advocate for yourself. Tell people what they need. There is somebody out there that can help you. Define a mantra. That's kind of like what I was saying about speaking life into yourself. But, write things down. Write visual aids down and put them everywhere in your house, and then just speak it. Repeat it until you believe it. I have scripture all through my house. I have scripture. I tape it to the mirror and just different, my daughter's room. I speak, I just write different things out and tape it up in her room. And it's funny because I find things that she's written for herself and put it up in her car so she can see it when she's driving and things like that. Define mantras, define things that or statements that are healthy, life-giving statements, and put them in a place where you'll memorize it and you'll just repeat it to yourself when you need to. Another one, surround yourself with people who help you to remain focused on important, positive, productive things. Don't fill your time with people who are sucking the life out of you. Don't fill your time with people who are negative. Don't waste your time with people who all they do is gossip when they're together. I'm not saying that I never get caught up into these things, or I never get caught up into negativity. I try to avoid it though, I really do, and I try to surround myself with people who are positive and life-giving and just are willing to lift each other up. It's so important. If you are filling people's cups around you, they can fill up your cup too, hopefully. If they're not, if you feel like your cup is constantly being sucked empty when you're around these people, stop hanging around those people. They're not the right ones. Another thing, prioritize your happiness. It's not selfish. You will be better for everyone around you if you are happy, if you are doing things for yourself, if you are exercising, if you are eating healthy, if you are waking up every morning and putting on your makeup and doing your hair. You're going to be better for everyone else around you. So force yourself to do things that make you happy. Another call to action, set goals for yourself, prioritizing the important things. I like to break things down into short-term and long-term goals. So short-term, I might say from like 0 to 3 months, and then long-term goals, 3 months on to a year. Write these down, check them off as you accomplish them. I love to watch or listen to Dave Ramsey, and he always talks about setting goals that are like least to biggest. Like he does the financial goals, but I think that's important because you want to be able to feel success. You want to be able to feel like you've accomplished some of the smaller ones. So if you set up some of the bigger ones up higher, it might make you feel kind of down because they're it takes longer and it's harder to achieve. So you want to set some smaller goals, even if you do small daily goals, 1 or 2 a day, and you're able to check them off. Give yourself that feeling of accomplishment. And then the final call to action, in your struggle, seek God. Have intentional quiet time. I have been pulling myself off of social media for this past month, and it has changed me in a way that it in my boredom, normally I want to go through Facebook, I want to go through Instagram and kind of scroll through things. It's forcing me to have more quiet time with God, and I can't tell you how much peace I have this month, just kind of staying away from a lot of that stuff that kind of fills my time. And this is something that I put together after writing my blog on validating mom. And so I'm just going to read straight from it, and then I'll show it to you, and all of the information on how to buy one. It's very reasonably priced. It's just a visual aid, but it's powerful, something powerful to hang up in your home so you can see it every day, and it can remind you what an amazing person that you are. So here it is. It says, "You have overcome tremendous adversities. You are getting better every day. Keep your eyes on the things that are important. Setbacks are a part of the journey and opportunities for growth. You are not defined by anything negative that has ever been spoken to you. You are amazing. You are not alone. You are already pleasing to God. You do not need to perform. You are accepted, and you are loved." And here is what it looks like. And if you order it, it will come to you laminated. It's not laminated yet because I just haven't gotten to it yet. But if you order it online, it'll come to you laminated. And that's all I have for you guys. I hope you were blessed by this. I hope it spoke to your heart. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment if you would like. And I can't wait to share more of my heart with you in 2020. Bye.